Hello and Happy New Year. Today, I want to talk to you about how you can get in the best shape of your life in 2024. So, if you're like most people, you've probably made a New Year's resolution or at least have the idea in your head that you want to get in better shape this year. But you've likely had this idea last year and probably the year before, and potentially for the last 5 or 10 years, and you're still not where you want to be. So, my question to you is how many more years are you going to keep going through this cycle of wanting to get in shape, having huge hopes for where you're going to be 12 months from now, and then getting to December and being in the exact same place you were in January, or potentially even further away from your goal? If you want to build your dream physique, you need to have a clear action plan. So that's what I want to give you today. And this is the exact system I use with my executive clients. So I know that this blueprint works. And that's especially true if you're a male, busy professional over the age of 40, as that's who I really tested this with and seen the best results with. So I'm going to break this down step by step so that you know exactly what you need to do. And if you follow the system, you can't fail. I've shown that time and time again with the 100+ clients that I've used this with. The key is sticking with it and trusting the process. So, to start off with, we're going to talk about nutrition. Now, the first thing is avoiding snacks. So, if you're looking to lose weight, you've probably at some point heard that you should have frequent small meals throughout the day because it's good for the metabolism. But that's actually not true. And a lot of the current literature and research that's out there is suggesting we should avoid snacks if we want to reduce body fat and also just be healthy in general. So, this is important whether you want to lose fat or not, because frequent snacking can lead to greater fat gain, firstly, due to the body remaining in a fat making mode from this constant influx of food. So, the idea here is that our body can tap into its own fat stores if we give it a chance to do so. But if you're constantly putting food in your body's just going to use that food for fuel because it's got a constant supply of fuel. And this can also mess with our digestive system a little bit because the digestive system never gets a break if you're constantly putting food in your body. So, according to a lot of the current research that's out there, with Dr. Sachin Panda being a big driver of that research, um, fat storing only turns off after about 2 hours without food. So ideally, we want to aim for about 3 to 4 hour blocks of time during the day where we're not consuming any calories. And an important point here is that this also includes drinks with calories, so things like sweetened tea or coffee, or that dash of milk or cream that you might put in a coffee. So black coffee is okay. Things like water are okay, but anything else is going to turn on the digestive process, spike insulin, and not really give us those results that we're looking for. And the second thing here is protein. So ideally, you want to be hitting 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight every day. And protein is your number one priority if you want to get in shape. So that's true whether you're wanting to build muscle or lose fat, because it's going to help build muscle. So it's the building block of our tissues. It's going to help you stay full for longer, burn more calories, and prevent the loss of lean mass, which is crucial if you're trying to lose weight. You don't want to lose lean mass, which is essentially muscle mass, because that's going to make your journey a lot harder. It's going to impact your metabolism. So we really want to be hitting that protein goal. The next thing is to limit alcohol intake. So, alcohol intake has a massive impact on your body composition, meaning that if you reduce your intake or cut it out completely, that's a great way to build your dream body this year. And alcohol has an especially big impact on belly fat, which is why it's called the beer belly. So, if you're struggling with fat around your middle, this one's going to be extra important. The next one is to avoid seed oils. So, seed oils are highly inflammatory and essentially destroy your health. They're probably one of the worst things that you could consume. They're something that I'm really careful about over anything else. Um, so, you want to avoid them at all costs, ideally, especially if you're really serious about getting in shape this year. So these oils, as I said, are highly inflammatory and they essentially clog up our metabolism and they make it hard for our bodies to tap into their own stored fuel sources, which is fat. The next one, protein again, eat a high protein breakfast. So don't skip breakfast. Instead, aim to get 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking. So this is important, as I said, for muscle building. It's going to keep you full and satisfied, so you're less likely to crash mid-morning and reach for caffeine or sweet snacks to keep your energy levels up. And that sustained energy is going to make it more likely that you move throughout the day, which is going to help with weight loss. And it's going to make sure that you hit your workout later on, like after work. The next one is eat 80% single ingredient food. So the way I describe it is a single ingredient food is a food that doesn't have an ingredients list. So you think things like meat, things like beef, fish, fruits and vegetables, legumes, things like rice. Those are all single ingredient foods. And then another point here is you can combine them. So like if you think of something like a soup, it's obviously got an ingredient list because it's got like carrots, beef, maybe potato, whatever's in there, but you can combine those single ingredient foods. The idea is to stay away from foods that come with a nutrition label. And the 80% here is, so most of the time we're going to be eating those foods. 20% of the time, have a bit more flexibility. Eat what you want. That balance is crucial for staying on track long term. And then the final point here is strategic meal timing. So the first one, eat while the sun is up. Humans are built to eat while the sun is up, which is going to optimize your hormones. And eating outside of this can actually lead to increased fat storage. So you want to be trying to eat all your food while the sun's up, which is obviously a shorter window during the winter when the days are a little bit shorter, but just try to stick to that as much as you can. And then building on that, reduce your eating window to 8 to 12 hours, with 12 hours kind of being the maximum. So you want to eat all your calories within that window. So for example, maybe 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. would be a 12-hour window. And you don't want to eat outside of this. So this is known as time-restricted eating. And that's going to accelerate your fat loss by letting your body tap into its fat stores like we talked about earlier and give your digestive system a break. And the final point here is to have your last bite of food 2 hours before going to bed. So this is probably pretty easy if you're sticking to eating during daylight hours, but your body needs time to digest and cool down before sleep. And we'll talk about sleep later on, but this is really important for sleep quality. So just try to avoid eating right before bed. Try to give your body at least 2 hours to digest that final meal. And next is training. So the first one here is you want to be lifting weights 2 to 3 times per week because lifting weights increases muscle mass and boosts your metabolism. So muscle is the most metabolically active tissue in the body. And that's going to help, you're going to improve your physique because you're going to have more muscle, but it's also going to make fat loss a lot easier. So that's going to help you get that lean look that you might be going for. So that can be at the gym using free weights. It can be using the machines. It can be using resistance bands. It can be using your own body weight with some body weight training as well. But the key is just loading your muscles a few times a week, ideally. And then we have zone 2 cardio. So this is one of the most powerful ways to exercise for brain health and heart health. And this is cardio that's at 60 to 69% of your max heart rate, with your max heart rate being 220 minus your age. So then you would times that by 0.6 and times 0.69 to get that range that you're aiming for. And you want to do about 150 minutes per week. So however is easiest to break that down, that's going to fit in with your schedule is going to be really important. So obviously this is just really important for overall health, which is going to make fat loss easier because, as I talk about a lot, if your body's not healthy, it's not going to want to let go of fat. So we really need to get it to a place where it's healthy. And third here, we have prioritize mobility and flexibility. So after 40, especially, you need to be prioritizing moving well. So this is going to help you move better both at the gym, but in everyday life as well. So that's going to keep you pain-free, functional for a long time to come, which is going to mean missing fewer sessions at the gym, working out more effectively, and overall just better weight loss and muscle gain. And the problem with standard gym training routines is that they often exacerbate imbalances caused by spending a lot of our day sitting. So They address the muscles we see in the mirror and kind of neglect everything else, which means you're stiff, you have poor posture, and you're setting yourself up for injuries, both at the gym and just in everyday life. So you really need to be getting some mobility work in at least a couple times a week. My favorite way to do it is a little bit in the morning and a little bit in the evening, 5 to 10 minutes each time. It doesn't need to be a huge session, but that regular work is going to help you see those results and really get your body to a place where it's moving well. And then the last point here is to get 8,000 steps per day minimum. So more is great. 8,000 is kind of the minimum you'd want to be aiming for. So obviously, the more you walk, the more calories you'll burn. And walking just really helps you get lean. It's not strenuous, like it's not like a workout, but it's just really important for overall health and getting your body healthy so that it can lose fat and get lean. So humans were not meant to sit for long periods of time. We are actually like built to move, which is why we're built differently to other apes. We need to be walking regularly if we want to be getting in shape. Our next point is stress. So, stress is often an overlooked aspect of body transformation, but it's really important to address because cortisol, which is our stress hormone, disrupts insulin activity, and that can lead to weight gain. It also hinders the body's ability to build muscle. So, it's going to impact both fat loss and muscle building, which is why it's really important that you prioritize de-stressing practices in your day. So, that whatever that is going to be unique to you and what you find helpful, whether it's meditation, reading, going for a walk, calling your parents, whatever helps you manage stress and not feel stressed out is going to be important. So another one here is prioritize time in nature. That's been proven over and over to help with stress. So just trying to get out whenever you can, whether it's a walk in a park, going for a hike, going camping in the summer, just getting outside as often as you can. And then kind of building on that is minimizing artificial blue light exposure. So this one's challenging if you work inside, like in an office, because you're looking at a screen all day. You have the blue light, often LED lights overhead, which is really hard. But if you can try to use natural light, so if you can sit by a window and turn lights off, like if you have a home office, that would be really helpful. Work outside if you can take your laptop outside. If you can't, try to get outside regularly for breaks. So go out for a 5-minute walk. That's going to help with your steps as well. And then another thing here is to use some software on your phone and your laptop or computer to reduce the blue light. So my phone is permanently on the night shift mode, just 24 hours a day. So it's always reducing the blue light as much as I can. Same with my computer screen. I use an app called Flux on my MacBook, which makes the screen kind of orangey red, which has actually a really big impact on your health and stress, especially. So that one's been a really big one for me that I've really noticed a difference with is blue light, artificial blue light specifically, can be really stressful for the body. And that's just adding to the stress that you're already facing from work and general life. And then we have sleep. So inadequate sleep is going to hinder your progress in your body composition journey by obviously hindering muscle growth. It increases insulin resistance. So that's where you're ending up with issues like type 2 diabetes, as well as just more fat gain. It decreases your daily movement because you're tired. You might not notice it, but there's tons of studies out there that show when we're tired, we just move less. And then moving less, we're burning fewer calories. Our body's not as healthy. And it also messes with our hunger and satiety hormones, meaning you're going to feel hungrier and you're not going to get the message from your body that you're full. So the key here is to make sure you're getting ideally 7 hours of sleep per night if you can. 8's better, but 7's like a good one to aim for. And the way we do that is through a consistent sleep schedule. So these 3 points here are going to help improve the quality more so than the quality. No, they're going to improve the quality more so than the quantity of that sleep. So consistent sleep schedule, wake time is the most important. So the wake time is your anchor. You want to be getting up within the same, ideally 30-minute window every day of the week, whether it's the weekend or a work day. And then a consistent bedtime as well, which is ideally 8 hours before your wake time. So you're giving yourself 8 hours of sleep opportunity, because we don't always fall asleep right away. We wake up during the night. And then that's going to hopefully get you that 7 hours total time asleep. And magnesium and glycine are two supplements that are worth looking into to help with your sleep quality. So they're both natural. They're both really, really safe. They're both going to improve your health as well, but really improve your sleep. So I like to take magnesium glycinate before bed, and sometimes glycine as well. You can also take glycine in the morning. So those are two that are worth looking into. And then the final one here is dark mode. So this is maybe like you might call it an evening routine, but I like to emphasize that it doesn't have to be a routine necessarily, because people think routines take a lot of time. It's more about the practices you engage in before bed. So kind of when the sun goes down, which is obviously quite early right now if it's winter where you are, but at least an hour, minimum half an hour before bed, you want to be dimming the lights. So if you can dim them, otherwise use lamps if you've got them. I like to use candles so that they're really dim. You want to avoid screens during this time. So turn off the TV. That includes things like iPads. Don't read on your iPad. Obviously, computers, phones. Turn all of those off and engage in more relaxing activities. Ideally, like read a book. You could do the mobility that we talked about, do a bit of gentle stretching, go for a light walk if the sun's still up, have a shower. Just do all these things that are going to prepare both your mind and body for bed. And our final point here is mineralization. So I think this one is definitely something that isn't talked about enough. People don't know about it, but it can have a really big impact on your body composition. And for me, this is what took me from being pretty lean to getting really lean in the last 6 months or so. These points here really had a big impact on that. So the first one is that you want to be drinking filtered water, or ideally spring water. So I drink pretty much exclusively spring water, which I just buy at the store, but you can also find local springs, which is pretty cool. They're usually free. You can go fill up your bottle. But the main reason we want to be filtering our tap water, which links to the last point here, is that tap water is full of all sorts of things like toxins, heavy metals, medications, so things like antidepressants, birth control. There's a lot of bad stuff in tap water, even if it's clean. Even if you live in a first world country, there's a lot of stuff you want to be avoiding in tap water. So just getting a filter to filter some of that out is really going to help. And then if you're filtering that water, the downside of that is that it's going to take out a lot of the minerals from the water. So things like magnesium, potassium, sodium, that's all going to get filtered out. So a good strategy here is to use a mineral salt or trace mineral drops. I use both to put the minerals back into the water, because mineralization, like our bodies need minerals for pretty much every process in the body, especially things like the heart. The heart relies on potassium and sodium to function properly. So it's important that you're getting those minerals in. And then, just here supplementing with magnesium again, which we talked about at sleep, but zinc as well is really important for minerals. Those are two that are really safe to take on a daily basis, and two that most people are actually deficient in. And then just avoiding toxins where possible. So obviously the tap water, but also things like a lot of deodorants, especially with heavy metals like aluminum in them, a lot of makeup, a lot of body products. So like moisturizers, body washes, a lot of those have a lot of toxins in them, perfume, things like that. We want to be avoiding those because they can leach the minerals out of our system. And they also just make it harder for our system to function at its best, which is obviously going to make everything a lot harder. So as I said, this one's a little bit more of an advanced strategy, but for me, this really got me that last like 5% of the leanness that I was looking for. So definitely has a big impact and is worth looking into. At a minimum, filter your tap water. So that's everything for this blueprint for how to get in the best shape of your life. As I said, I have used this with a ton of people. I know that it works. The hard part is actually sticking with it. So If anything in this video resonated with you and you're trying to figure out how to best implement the system in your life, or maybe you've tried a lot of these things on your own already in the past, but you've never made it work long term, or you've never got the results or at least kept the results that you're looking for, just send me a message saying interested, and I'll see how I can help you implement this in your life so that you can reach your body composition goals this year.